Hi, everybody. Trying to keep a straight face here. Joined by Jenkins.
Hello.
And we've got another patch video. It's the patch that was promised. We didn't do a patch analysis for 7.26, so maybe we should just look at 726 and just talk about it real quickly before we get into 726A, because this is like the full patch basically at this point.
All of this, people thought, okay, this is the gold being reduced on everything, kill streak gold, golden just bounties, everything basically would result in the game being slower. You'd have Terror Blades, Anti-Mages. Nope, totally different. XP still remains roughly the same. Everybody's fighting. We're seeing mid-legions, carry, bristlebacks. It's all about fighting heroes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to turn down this music a little bit. The truth of the matter is they took away a bunch of gold, which means that if you get an advantage, you can just continually fight because it's much harder to get that advantage back. Like
by hitting creeps.
Yeah, the way that you would come back into games is by split pushing and like eventually being more efficient and farming up enough items to take a fight. But now there's just less gold, so it takes longer to get there, which means that if you're ahead early because your heroes are stronger in the laning stage, or you won a lane or two that you're not supposed to win, then what's the recourse? Is there a recourse, really? I feel like it's a lot harder to come back into games.
Like
yeah.
Yeah, watching the most recent competitive games doesn't feel like it. It feels games are very one-sided right now.
Yep, and I've been even seeing that in pubs too. Like it's either my games are really stompy winning them or really stompy losing them, and like every now and then we'll have some like long drawn out game, but that's very rare.
It's rare. Yeah.
If that's happening in pubs and pros, it's definitely like just what the game is at the moment, which is kind of unfortunate in my opinion.
I like it. I like it. I'm an offlaner, so I really like brawling.
Sure. I mean, I like brawling as well. I just don't really like the idea that the game is essentially decided in like 10 to 15 minutes. Although some people might like that because they want games to end quickly, and I'm down for quickly ending games, but a lot of the time it's like the game's decided, but it doesn't end for like 30 minutes, and then
this is
like,
true.
Oh, just get me out of this game. It's been over for 15 minutes already, you know, but we're not winning yet, or we're not losing yet somehow.
It does seem like with the general changes, reading like XP bonus for kill streaks being reduced means that that's going to be more prevalent.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't just kill somebody who has a massive kill streak and get a ton of XP back.
Yeah.
These leads are going to be kept even by teams that are feeding these advantages. But it is, you know, obviously people were talking about how XP is king now. So to take a little bit of XP away, especially in a patch where I feel like the XP bonus for kill streaks was arguably worse in terms of if your guy died who had the kill streak, that was worse for you in terms of the XP they got rather than the gold, even when the gold was really high and not half as much. I still feel like the XP was always really insane. So I think this is a much needed change.
Yeah, if you were like a mid Shadow Fiend and you died once in like the mid game, you know, 10 to 15 minute mark, you were legitimately just like giving one hero on the enemy team like 4 levels, and it was just like, okay, that's a little out of control. Before we get into the item and hero changes, I just kind of wanted to get your opinion. I mean, we've both been playing Dota for a long time. It kind of feels like they're reverting a lot of stuff. Like they got rid of shrines entirely. We're now back to regular movement speed on boots, as you can see on screen. They have reduced the comeback mechanics significantly. They have made the bases harder to push. They have, you know, made supporting a lot less fun, a lot less like core oriented than it used to be. They've gotten rid of all the GPM talents, all the EXPM talents. There's just like a whole lot of kind of like maybe not direct reverts to what it was before, but pretty close to almost like 2 years ago of Dota.
I think it's fair. I mean, I would agree. I think it's fair because you know, we have 45 move speed on boots compared to like 15%, which is what we had before roughly. But we have outposts now. We have heroes with level 30s. Like there's neutral items. There are crazy things that have changed in Dota where I feel like we kind of can go back to the old classics. Mm-hmm. Where it did feel really good. A lot of these, I mean, that's a big reason why Dota was so successful in the first place, is because, of course, a lot of the mechanics felt really good. So when they changed away from that, sometimes that can kind of feel like it's not the same game. So taking like the new elements that are working and putting a lot of the other stuff back to old Dota, I feel like is pretty cool, because Dota's about the combination and permutations of things rather than here's all of the stuff that you can do in the game. It's like, okay, how do we combine these simple things to make it complicated? That's always what Dota's been about. Not just, oh, this is a complicated thing. Like that's not fun.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, they definitely have. It's almost like we've gone back in the fork in the road that could have been Dota. Like if they had, eliminated all of this stuff at 7.0 and just gone with like the level 30s and the talent trees and the neutral items. Like this is where we could have been, a year ago if they hadn't introduced all these other strange kind of weird mechanics with ability scaling and stuff like that. So
definitely.
Anyway, let's get into the item changes. As we mentioned, basically all of the boots have been changed to be plus 45 movement speed instead of plus 15%. Phase boots active speed has been reduced a little bit to compensate because now it's just flat movement speed. Tranquil boots has been changed from 26% to 75% and 26% to 75 flat and 18% to 50 flat when broken. So still the best boot for cheap as far as getting around the map. Guardian Greaves is from 17% movement speed to 50 flat as well. And then Boots of Travel is now 110/130 for the two different levels. Spider Legs, a new item, is now not 28% movement speed, but 65 flat. So it's better than most boots and means you can definitely just get rid of your boots. I mean, you could anyway, but it's a little bit more like that anyway. Force Boots is 115 flat instead of 40%. Woodland Striders 140 flat instead of 50%. Yasha has been changed from flat movement speed to 8%. So going back again, Manta Style as well, same thing. Sanjin Yasha has been changed from plus 30 to 10%. Yashikaya, same thing. Trident, the best item in Dota, changed from plus 30 to 10%. Drums of Endurance, speed bonus has been reduced by 1% as part of the boots change.
Right. So basically, this is just if you are less than 300 move speed, you like boots more now. And if you have more than 300 move speed, you would have preferred the old boots. It's a bunch of complication to something that's actually quite simple. And now we get into what's a little more interesting to me is this Spirit Vessel change. Now it provides this aura that reduces health regen and lifesteal as well. So it's like a negative Vlad's, except Vlad's is just lifesteal. It's actually better than a negative Vlad's in a 1200 AoE. And of course, the soul release debuff had to be changed to be nerfed. So now it's going to be a total of 55% debuff regen reduction when also paired with that negative aura. So if somebody walks out of the range of you and you have a vessel, technically speaking, they're going to be taking like quite a bit less damage now. But this aura being a negative Vlad's plus also reducing the HP regen is insane. We did the math on Alchemy Answers, like 30 seconds of a fight, let's say hypothetically 30 minutes into the game. If everybody has like 7 to 15 regen, we'll average it out about 10 regen on every hero. Obviously, carries will have much more. In 30 seconds, that is 1,500 HP that they're not going to gain just from regen, not including lifesteal. 1,500 damage in a single team fight by holding a Spirit Vessel and not even using it.
Yeah, and the radius
that is wild.
The radius is 1,200, so it's basically a blink dagger on either side of you. So the whole screen essentially is what is affected by this, if not a little bit more.
Pretty good item. Best item, I would say. Best change, best item. Pick up this item. It's going to get nerfed.
Yeah, they're definitely going to reduce the radius 100%. They'll probably reduce the percentage as well, maybe down to like 15 or 10 or 12 or something like that. The recipe has gone up. Windlace is no longer part of it, but 20 movement speed, who cares? And it's not like you even need movement speed to have the radius affect people. You just need to kind of exist near a team fight, and it's going to work. I would say overall buff to the item.
Insane item, in my opinion. So all of the regen items have been increased. So Ring of Basilius, 150 to 175. Headdress actually 150 to 200. So Headdress is nerfed even more because I think people are still favoring that. Surprisingly, Soul Ring nerfed, even though I think that was a pretty garbage item. And people were building on heroes that just required it, like Bristlebats and things like that. So yeah, so that's a bit rough for that item in general, because I don't think it's that great of an item. It's just the heroes that are picked in the meta. Vlad's, the lifesteal is reduced from 25% to 20%. Recipe cost 550 to 600. Mech recipe also increased 950 to 1,000. Pipe from 1,000 to 1,200. So all of these items, these regen items, are just much more expensive now. Vlad's feels pretty bad with the nerfs, with the recipe cost increased twice so far, the lifesteal reduced,
and
I
feel like if you buy a Vlad's and the other team buys a Spirit Vessel, it's almost like you don't have this item anymore.
Well, I mean, it's not exactly like that because it's not just like straight. It's not like minus 20% on that 20%. It would be just 20% of the 20% lifesteal. You know what I mean?
I mean, I suppose so, but at the same time, it definitely doesn't feel great because the item is definitely getting more expensive, more and more expensive, and then you just buy this item and suddenly the other team like has a much worse Vlad's than you. So I don't know if you're in like a low MMR game and you're not in the habit of building a Vlad's, and the other team is definitely not going to be building Spirit Vessel because who buys that item below like 3k MMR? Just buy a Vlad's and suddenly you're gonna have this massive advantage. I don't know. Anyway,
I feel like all of these items, there are so many items in Dota that with all of the nerfs of these recipe costs being increased, that some of the other older items people are going to trend, like going for like tons of bracers, you know, going for example, like the Scotty, holding, Crimson Guard, for example, or holding like a Vanguard or something like that. Like I do think that there are enough items in Dota that these nerfs are enough to justify picking up the other ones. Like Yule Scepter, for example, hasn't been changed. True. It's still a relatively low value item or low cost item.
Changed in a while.
Crimson did get a cost increase, but not in this patch, in a previous patch.
Right.
So it's but still, like the Vanguard, like that hasn't been changed. That's still insane. And you can eventually in late game build into these items when you need them, like the pipes and the Vanguards. So Hood obviously didn't get changed either. So still a great item.
Low sword mana cost has been increased. Silver Edge, this is a pretty big change, no longer reduces regen, but it also kind of feels like the item was like massively overbuffed in the previous patches. So probably better. However, they do want another source of negative regen and lifesteal, so they've given it to Scotty now, which was an item that nobody was buying at all. So now Scotty is a very, very good anti-core item, which is what it's supposed to have been all of this time, but it was kind of, with all of the extra movement speed, non-kiting stuff, like Scotty was kind of a dead item. But now they're making it so this item straight up counters heroes like Alchemist and Huskar. Like, even if they have a BKB, you still reduce their regen if you hit them with Scotty, and it's reapplied every single time you hit. So you can't manta it off, like nothing works. There's somebody on you hitting you with the Scotty, your regen is reduced by 35%. Nullifier debuff is no longer dispellable, so you can't like manta it off or purge it off with, I don't know, a Baden shield or something like that. So
decent item, I would say. The damage being so, like the stats on it being so high and the cost being so low is definitely what sells it to me. That's probably a pretty decent item, honestly.
Yeah, I would like to experiment with it. Blade Mail has been minorly nerfed, still a very, very, very good item.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid still.
2 int is like pretty much nothing. Hero changes. Alchemist Grievel's Greed has been
finally hero changes again. Man.
I know, we've been wanting these for a while.
I was waiting for this, yeah. So Grievel's Greed, the cap was reduced at all levels by 2. The base was reduced by 1. The multiplier on the bounty runes reduced by 0.5 at all levels. So just to basically make up for all of the gold changes, I think this just puts Alchemist back to where he was, which is like decent tier.
Yeah, I mean, if they hadn't changed this, but then they reduced all of the gold, and they just left Alchemist as is, he was going to just continue to trend higher and higher and higher.
Yeah, agreed.
If you can just generate gold in a meta where there is way less gold, obviously that's super broken.
Yeah. So Batrider, the Firefly speed bonus was reduced, and again. I think this is just to make up for the fact that before the percentage was based on your base move speed. So other percentages wouldn't matter because basically the way it's calculated is you would take all like this just static move speed increases and put them together, and then all the percentages were based off of that. So now that boots are this like massive influx of base move speed, this is just nerfed as a result of that. So Bat before Boots is shittier now, basically.
Right.
Which of course is a bit of a nerf, but it's very minor.
And same thing with Bloodseeker. Most of these little movement speed tweaks are just to account for the fact that boots are flat now. Bounty Hunter track self gold, just like Alchemist, has been reduced to kind of compensate for the fact that you just generated like too high of a percentage of extra gold out of nowhere. Because I mean, this isn't a lot, like 30 at max, 25 at level 2, 20 at level 1. Not very much.
Primal Split. Funny that they buffed this, because this was a glitch. This was not intended. That the immolation did way more damage when Brew first got buffed. I think it was 7.25, maybe it was, and so then they fixed it, and then Brew's win rate went to complete dog tier. So then I think they buffed it because they see this guy's got like a 40% win rate after being very broken before the before the fix of the glitch. So they're actually kind of reverting to the glitch slowly here, which is hilarious.
Broodmother, one of your favorites.
Once again, just the boots, just the boots change. This just means like Broodmother and it's slight. So I actually think this is decent for Brood. Like this just means boots on Brood is really good.
Mm-hmm. Chaos Knight, Phantasm cooldown. They're trying to make this hero pickable, but it was one of the only heroes that was not picked at ESL in the online tournament. It was like one of 4 heroes that was not picked. It just seems very hard to get him to work properly as a carry right now.
It does, surprisingly. He's been buffed in like 7 patches in a row. So
the thing is, though, it's like you have Slark, Ricky, and Ursa, and Gyro, who are the low cooldown heroes that want to fight early and snowball off of kills. Chaos Knight fits into that, but all of those heroes have low cooldowns that allow them to kill people. Chaos Knight doesn't. And you definitely don't want to be building like Battle Fury on Chaos Knight, because it just doesn't help you.
Right, and these like Echo Sabers, like these Echo Sabers and Armlets are not particularly good items right now. They're just like, people don't build those on other heroes even, very rarely. So it's like these are Chaos Knight's favorite items. So if those items are really good, he'd probably be decent.
Yep.
Chen, basically a nerf to competitive players. I don't think anybody plays this shit in pubs. It's just like health regen nerfs. I mean, this is so minor. It's so minor to him anyway.
Basically nothing. This is kind of interesting.
Dude, this hero's good, man. This hero is straight up good.
How many times are they going to buff this? 30 damage on Searing Arrows? Like, this has to be able to be played as a support now, too.
How? How could you not? Dude, he's got like 100 base damage now if you use this, and it costs no mana.
Yeah.
It's, well, not no mana. I was being figurative, but you know what I'm saying.
9 mana per cast. Like,
it's very little.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you just scale this up, right? What's like the average trading spell at level 1? Let's say it's about 90 mana for 100 damage. That's like considered a pretty good trading spell at level 1. Something like that.
And this is 1 for 3 or 1 to 3 ratio roughly.
Yeah, so I mean,
for the first level,
if you scale this up to 100 damage, so times 3, it's only 27 mana for 90 damage. That's pretty insane.
Death Prophet, base move speed. Gee, this hero's broken, so this needs to be changed. Exorcism move speed also scales now from 16 to 20%, I should say. And Exorcism mana cost has been increased. She doesn't care about the mana cost, really. She has no mana issues. These are slight nerfs. These are slight nerfs to her. I really think that she's just such a solid hero still.
Yep. Dragon Knight.
Dragon Knight. Strength gain reduced. Way too tanky. Very annoying. Heaven's Halberd, broken item. Elder Dragon Form Scepter no longer increases attack range. Good God, I didn't even know that it did that.
Yeah, so it does so many different things. It's probably still good because it gives you the movement speed and the free pathing.
Dude, you're legitimately a dragon. Like, that's so cool.
Yep. Drow Ranger, base armor increased by 2. Kind of interesting.
That's big. That's actually big because
maybe.
I just think in general, like, she's a hero who's always struggled tanking creeps when people pull and whenever people are cutting.
Right.
And with 2 armor, I mean, that's a big deal. Like, depending on what your armor is, like 2 armor can be like 12% reduction or something like that. That's really nuts. 2.2, but that's also with her agility like added to that, I think.
Right. So she's probably like around 3-ish, something like that.
Something like that. Maybe 4 on the high end. I don't know, but still really good. Great for Drow. Like 2 armor is a lot. I know there's memes, but. Anyway, Ember Spirit, Searing Chain's cooldown has been increased to 10 seconds level. At max level. That is legit a decent nerf to him because of the whole point of this hero is that he can spam out his spells and you get buffed by Caudle, or you get the Searing Chain's duration, and all of a sudden it feels like you're perma rooted. And of course, that's not a thing anymore because there's this 2-3 second window now where that's not going to be the case. So
Yep.
that does hurt. That does hurt Ember, especially as a 4.
A needed nerf, I would say, though.
Yeah, very, very broken hero. Keeper of the Light. Blinding Light cooldown has been increased to 20 seconds at level 1. That hurts. That's his trading ability in the lane.
Yep.
And Will-O-Wisp cooldown has been increased a little bit. Probably needed. 60% win rate hero with a high pick rate.
Yep.
But still kind of feels like the hero is going to do roughly the same thing. I mean, you weren't really spamming Blinding Light off cooldown. Were you? You were spamming it to like knock people into the tower and stuff.
Yeah, it like when it was first changed from being, what was it, like 50 mana or something like that, that was when you would just spam it off a cooldown. But ever since they changed the mana cost to be higher, it was definitely one of those kind of like, you use it only if you are, you know, running for bounties, or somebody's trying to like stop you from pulling, or, you know, you need it to blast somebody away when they're like going on you with Ink Swell or something like that. It was more of like a utility spell anyway, so
yep,
probably not that big of a deal.
Pulse Nova damage has been increased, but only in the later levels.
Mm-hmm.
Nice buff. I mean, this hero's solid. This hero's really solid. I mean, obviously that's more of like a core buff, because as a pause 4 or pause 5 Leshrac, you're not really going to be getting to those later levels where it matters and doing damage. That probably sucks anyway, but that's nice. Leshrac's in a pretty decent spot, I would say.
It kind of fits the meta pretty well. I feel like these tempo
Tower
heroes,
Taker too.
Yeah, definitely good.
Lone Druid. This is a weird one to me. Reduced from 0.25 Spirit Bear base attack time to 0.2. That's reduction, right? So that's a nerf. Why?
Yes, it's a very slight nerf to the Spirit Bear's attack time at level 20.
Am I crazy? Like, I feel like I have not seen that hero getting picked at all. It's like Ice Frog just lost to it in a pub, and he's like, "You wait until the A patch comes out, you bastard."
Yeah, you probably lost to it with Luna too, because Luna has a random attack animation buff.
Yeah, that's cool. Dude, her attack animation's been garbage for so long. Yeah. I like this a lot.
Yeah, she's been kind of hard to last it with, because her base damage is kind of low ever since they changed. Yeah. And her attack animation
come on,
sucks.
Luna. Jesus Christ. You're supposed to be an agility hero. You don't look very agile. Night Stalker. Base move speed reduced. This is just because he gets percentage move speed from his Stalker in the night, or whatever the hell you want to call it. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Ogre Magi. Also, his Bloodlust move speed was reduced. Some of these might be actually buffs, just because depending on like how many boots you have and whatever your base move speed is now, this might give you more move speed in total. So, maybe. I mean, obviously not direct buffs, but
yeah, they're trying to keep it about as even as possible, so there's almost no change to these, is what most of these little 1 or 2% nerfs feel like.
Yep. OD, Arcane Orb damage, has been straight up increased on all levels by 1%. Well, that hero needs it. He's not the greatest.
Yeah, but it's just like, is this really his problem? Is not doing enough damage with Arcane Orb? Probably not. No, of all the things that this hero needs a buff to, it's probably not Arcane Orb damage.
Yeah, definitely. But you know how they do it. Yeah. Phoenix, Fire Spirit's cooldown has been increased at all levels, scaling down to be the same thing in the lower levels. So minor nerf to him. That's pretty small. Hurts his early game trading by a little bit. But Supernova, Scepter no longer allows you to cast Sunray. That's pretty big. That's one of the big changes to him recently that's made him quite obnoxious. But I still think the fact that Supernova damage now goes through BKB is a big one too.
Yeah, and the fact that you can save an ally with your Ags. I mean, that's still a huge piece of why you would buy the Ags. I'm sure the hero's still good.
I mean, at level 20 you get it anyway, and that's about when you get the Ags. And nobody would go for the stun duration anyway. What's the other talent? I'm pretty sure it's pretty good.
Dive, that's like 2 trees away.
That's not that good either. I feel like both of the Icarus Dive was like memey and funny and silly, but it would kind of screw you up a lot of the time because you're like, whoa, kind of flying all the way around. So you couldn't like pinpoint where you want to put your egg unless you were way farther out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think the stun duration was probably the better talent most of the time, but I feel like most of the time you don't even really care about the stun on this. It's more so like it's a zoning, like huge damage ability anyway. So
definitely.
Bugna nerfs.
Cast range reduced. Big nerf to Decrepify but people were maxing that as pause 4. Reduced from 700 to 400 scaling to 700.
I like what they did, because they made it so to get the actual value that you want from Decrep and Netherward, you now have to level them. But before they were such good value points, and now you definitely want
to
level them up in addition to leveling up Blast, and so it makes it a little bit harder to play the hero.
You have to make a choice, which is always good.
Yep.
Razor base move speed has been reduced, of course, because he has a move speed buff. So once again, Slardar, exact same thing.
Yep.
Sprint move speed, sprint river speed, bulldoze, same thing. Void Spirit level 10 talent nerfed a little bit. That's the one everybody goes for. So that's a small nerf to him. And Wraith King Vampiric Aura damage has also been reduced by 2 at all levels. Which I mean, I don't know if he needs a nerf. I feel like Wraith King's in an okay spot. I feel like he's still in an okay spot.
Yeah. I would say overall, aside from like some of the item changes and the movement speed changes with boots, this is a pretty minor patch. Like, not many of these hero changes really affect the heroes to a point where you don't want to pick them, or you do want to pick them if you weren't before. Aside from maybe the clinks, just because people are going to finally look at it and be like, wait, how many times have they made this skill better? Like, how many buffs before this hero needs to be picked? It's probably time to start experimenting with it.
I would say 2 big things. Get Spirit Vessel, pick clinks, probably do both.
Yep.
In the same game.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, position 4 clink seems pretty nasty to deal with, and you get Spirit Vessel and just kill people by yourself.
Yep.
All right. Well, I guess the only thing left to do is go pub and test out our theories, see what we think, and then we can start making some tier lists, which I know you guys really want us to do. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in another video really soon. Good luck in your games. Peace out.